James Holden sat rigidly at the head of the boardroom, eyes fixed on the red alert, blinking ominously across every screen. The silence was shattered by urgent phone rings and whispered speculations. Panic rippled through the team as the gravity of the internal leak sank in, exposing critical company data that could cripple operations. "We've been compromised," he muttered, his voice tight, each word carrying the weight of imminent catastrophe. Executives shifted uncomfortably, exchanging fearful glances, their trust eroding with every heartbeat. The digital feeds on the walls flickered, each update revealing a new layer of betrayal. Outside, the New York skyline blurred beneath sheets of rain, neon reflections bouncing across glass like fractured mirrors, echoing the chaos inside. James' mind raced, mapping threats, allies, and enemies, realizing that betrayal had infiltrated familiar faces. Every decision felt like walking a tightrope over a chasm of ruin. Alliances dissolved silently, whispers of doubt spreading like wildfire. Each second dragged, heavy with tension, as loyalty was questioned and reputations teetered on the edge. He clenched his fists so tightly his knuckles whitened, feeling the weight of an empire that could collapse in mere hours. The storm outside mirrored the turmoil within, a relentless reminder that survival demanded ruthless clarity and immediate action. James retreated to his corner office, heart pounding. Emails and messages had exploded into chaos. The betrayal stung deeper than the leak itself. He ran scenarios imagining boardroom traps and rival CEOs, exploiting weaknesses. Sara Whitman's worried gaze haunted him. Could he salvage control before the company collapsed? Decisions now felt like life or death. Every phone ring triggered tension. He leaned back, trying to catch a breath, realizing this storm was bigger than anticipated. He whispered, "Not today," and typed furiously, determined to fight back before the empire crumbled. Sara Whitman stood by the window, recalling every data breach and suspicious file. She knew the numbers didn't lie. The company was vulnerable. The storm outside mirrored her fear. She had always trusted James, but now, suspicion crept in. Could she protect the firm while remaining loyal? The board's murmurs of doubt echoed in her mind. Every call, every message, seemed laced with danger. Decisions had to be precise, or they'd fall. She drew a deep breath, squared her shoulders, and whispered, "We survived together," hoping it was enough. Michael Tanner slammed his hand on the conference table, frustration breaking through composure. "We can't afford mistakes," he barked, scanning worried faces. James had retreated, leaving him to stabilize the team. Each second brought new threats: leak strategies, hostile competitors, insider leaks. The storm outside intensified as if echoing his anger. Executives shuffled papers, whispered urgently, and Michael's mind raced for contingency plans. Loyalty wavered, panic spread, yet he forced confidence, knowing every decision now defined survival. James stood by the panoramic window, rain pelting glass, and reflected on alliances. Betrayal had come from the closest circle. The city lights blurred through tears of rain. Each decision now carried immense weight. He envisioned steps, countermeasures, and warnings. Executives moved around, faces pale, voices hushed, yet life demanded action. He clenched his jaw, determined, whispering to himself, "We rebuild, no matter the cost." The storm outside and within mirrored each other, reflecting a CEO standing at the precipice, ready to fight or fall. James paced his office late into the night, city lights reflecting off the glass walls. Every call and message carried potential sabotage. He couldn't trust even familiar faces as rumors of betrayal swirled. Sara stood nearby, fingers tapping nervously on her tablet. "We need precision," James said, voice taut, scanning analytics on multiple screens. Michael entered briskly, reports in hand, tension radiating from his posture. Strategic plans collided with uncertainty as James mapped countermeasures. Every heartbeat felt like a countdown. Alliances shifted invisibly, and each decision bore immense risk. Outside, rain streaked the skyline, mirroring the storm inside the firm. He whispered, "We control what we can, and fight for the rest." Sara analyzed the company's compromised systems, fingers hovering over the keyboard, heart racing. Every anomaly felt like a trap. "They're watching every move," she muttered under her breath. James' strategies demanded flawless execution, but even he seemed tense, shoulders stiff and jaw tight. Michael paced in the background, frustration evident. Each executive whispered warnings, fear palpable. Emails pinged incessantly, revealing competitors' next steps. Every choice could trigger collapse. Sara adjusted her glasses and focused on patterns, determined to find the weak points and reclaim control before it was too late. Michael slammed a folder on the polished table, eyes flashing. "We can't miss a single step," he said, voice sharp, scanning anxious faces around him. James leaned back, calculating risks while Sara cross-referenced files with precision. Each internal leak threatened critical operations. Outside, thunder rumbled as rain lashed the glass, echoing the chaos within. Decisions were debated fiercely. Trust fractured further. Small victories felt hollow amid looming threats. Even the loyalist team members hesitated, unsure who to rely on. James clenched his fists, voice low. "We adapt or we fall." The room vibrated with tension, each second stretching endlessly. James gathered the executives in the war room, rain tapping on panoramic windows. "We can't let fear decide," he said firmly. Sara nodded, glancing at screens, flashing anomalies. Michael took a deep breath, straightening his suit. Each plan was scrutinized under pressure. One mistake could undo everything. Analysts whispered warnings, emails pinged with threats from competitors, and the team held its collective breath. Strategy maps and red markers highlighted threats across departments. James' mind raced, weighing every move, every ally, every potential betrayal. Outside, lightning illuminated the skyline, a mirror of the tension within. He concluded, "We fight smart, not fast." Sara adjusted the projections on the hollow board, her expression sharp, reflecting the pressure. James reviewed countermeasures on his tablet, jaw tight. Michael nodded subtly, signaling agreement with the approach. Each executive held a role in the rapidly unfolding crisis, balancing urgency with precision. Decisions carried immediate consequences. One misstep could fuel competitors' gains. The storm outside pounded against the skyscraper, mirroring internal turbulence. James whispered to himself, "We reclaim control piece by piece." Tension crackled in the air. Loyalty, trust, and strategy converged under a high-stakes spotlight, defining the course of survival for the company they had fought to build. James noticed subtle inconsistencies in the data reports that night. Something felt off with Sara's analysis, though she remained composed. A hidden hand seemed to manipulate outcomes from behind the scenes. The team's whispers hinted at double agents. Every executive move required scrutiny. Even Michael's confidence seemed rehearsed, calculated. James' pulse quickened as he considered every contingency. Outside, lightning fractured the skyline, reflecting the tension in the office. Trust fractured further. He whispered under his breath, "Nothing is as it seems." Every screen, every email could reveal betrayal. Time became an enemy. Sara sensed a growing unease in the office. Data anomalies pointed to manipulation, but by whom? She hesitated, fingers hovering over the keyboard, questioning loyalty and intentions. Michael shifted uneasily, avoiding direct eye contact with James. Analysts whispered potential leaks, while outside the storm intensified. Each decision risked disaster. Sara's mind raced through contingencies, double-checking every calculation. The boardroom felt claustrophobic. A single misstep could trigger a chain reaction. She straightened, determined to expose the hidden threat before it destroyed the company entirely. Michael confronted James quietly, whispering about suspicious behavior in the analytics team. Every choice he warned could be exploited. James listened carefully, analyzing subtle signs of deception. Even loyal team members hesitated. The storm outside mirrored the chaos inside. Patterns emerged hinting at an insider feeding competitors. Oh! James' jaw tightened as he traced potential leaks. Each step felt like walking a minefield. He realized the crisis extended deeper than imagined, threatening the company's survival. Every glance, every whispered word could be critical. He muttered, "We have to uncover the truth." James called an emergency meeting in the boardroom, tension palpable. Red alerts blinked on all screens. Analysts exchanged nervous glances. Sara presented anomalies, pointing out patterns suggesting insider sabotage. Michael reinforced the warnings, voice steady but urgent. Every executive felt the weight of suspicion. The storm outside rattled windows, echoing the chaos within. James mapped strategies on a holographic board, balancing defense and offense. Each scenario carried risk. Each decision could either stabilize or destroy the company. He fixed his gaze on the team and said firmly, "We expose the threat before it's too late." Sara cross-referenced logs with meticulous precision, tracing the source of sabotage. Michael monitored responses, eyes scanning for any sign of tampering. James reviewed countermeasures silently, weighing every risk. Each revelation was more shocking than the last. Executives whispered theories, anxiety heavy in the air. The storm outside raged, flickers of lightning illuminating the office. James realized the betrayal came from deeper within than anticipated. Decisions now carried immediate consequences. Every email, every report could be a trap. He murmured, "We adapt, we strike, or we fall." James convened an urgent strategy session. The office tense with anticipation. Every executive felt the weight of decisions that could topple the company. Red alerts blinked across monitors, analysts whispered potential threats, and outside, the storm rattled the skyscraper. Michael suggested countermeasures, while Sara cross-referenced patterns to pinpoint sabotage. Each plan carried immense risk, yet inaction felt worse. James mapped multiple scenarios on a digital board, weighing loyalty and opportunity. The atmosphere crackled with urgency. Every glance and movement could reveal hidden motives. He whispered, "We cannot falter now." Sara highlighted discrepancies in internal reports, tracing irregularities across multiple departments. Michael monitored responses closely, scanning for signs of hidden sabotage. James evaluated counter-strategies silently, mind racing through possibilities. Executives whispered quietly, weighing risks against uncertain loyalties. Every email, every log could be manipulated. Outside, lightning split the sky, echoing the tension within. James knew that missteps now could be fatal. Decisions required courage and precision. He set his jaw and whispered, "We reclaim what is ours, piece by piece." Michael suggested immediate lockdown of sensitive systems, emphasizing speed over comfort. James weighed the options carefully, knowing mistakes could compound the crisis. Sara coordinated with analysts, running parallel checks for hidden vulnerabilities. Executives felt tension mount with every pinging alert. Outside, rain lashed the skyscraper, lightning reflecting against the glass. The team operated under immense pressure, aware that every move could shift power in unseen ways. James' focus sharpened. Hesitation now could be catastrophic. He murmured, "We act decisively, or we crumble." James initiated a rapid response protocol, delegating critical roles to trusted team members. Sara confirmed the integrity of sensitive files, eyes darting between monitors. Michael supervised the secure communications channels, ensuring no further leaks. Every decision carried immediate consequences, and whispers of hidden betrayals heightened anxiety. Analysts worked feverishly, red alerts blinking relentlessly. The storm outside mirrored the chaos inside. James' mind raced through every contingency, calculating risk and loyalty. He said firmly, "We contain the threat before it spreads." Sara traced the origin of the sabotage to an unexpected department, eyes widening at the revelation. Michael confirmed the breach, his posture rigid with tension. James leaned forward, analyzing the implications. understanding that trust had fractured deeper than anticipated. The team paused, collectively holding their breath, aware that every next step mattered. The storm outside mirrored the turmoil within the office. Each report, each alert, could unravel months of strategy. James whispered with resolve, "We adapt, we strike, or we fall." Focus and precision became the only shields against collapse. James moved decisively to isolate the suspected insider, reviewing every log and email for inconsistencies. Sara coordinated with analysts to confirm the breach while Michael prepared countermeasures. Tension filled the office. Whispers of mistrust spread like wildfire. Every alert could indicate another layer of deception. The storm outside intensified, rain pounding against the glass. James weighed options carefully, understanding that each choice could either restore stability or accelerate collapse. Every glance and movement was scrutinized. Loyalty, suspicion, and strategy intertwined, creating a fragile equilibrium. He murmured, "We expose the truth, no matter the cost." Sara identified a pattern of hidden communications, revealing subtle signs of manipulation within the team. Michael observed quietly, noting inconsistencies in previously trusted reports. James considered strategic counteractions, calculating every possible outcome. Each revelation raised new concerns. The office was a hive of urgency, alerts and emails flashing rapidly. The storm outside mirrored the chaos inside. Every executive moved carefully, aware that a single misstep could magnify the crisis. The tension was almost tangible. James whispered under his breath, "Every move counts, and we cannot fail." Michael reported potential leaks in sensitive systems, and James quickly evaluated immediate solutions. Sara cross-checked each report with precision, uncovering hidden irregularities. Analysts whispered theories, while tension hung thick in the room. Every decision carried immediate consequences. A single miscalculation could unravel months of effort. The storm outside intensified, reflecting the inner turmoil. James' mind raced through every scenario, calculating risk and loyalty. His voice low but resolute, he said, "We act now decisively." Every executive knew there was no room for error. James directed the team to implement lockdown protocols across critical systems, delegating roles with precision. Sara confirmed the integrity of all sensitive files, fingers flying across keyboards. Michael monitored communications channels, eyes scanning for anomalies. Each action carried weight. The potential for sabotage remained high. Analysts moved quickly, responding to alerts in real time. The storm outside battered the building, mirroring the tension inside. James's gaze swept the room as he calculated every step. He whispered, "We contain the breach before it spreads further." The office was a crucible of urgency and strategy. Sara traced the source of the insider breach to an unexpected department, her eyes widening at the revelation. Michael confirmed the extent of the sabotage, posture rigid with tension. James analyzed implications silently, realizing trust had fractured deeper than anticipated. Every alert, every report, carried immense consequences. Executives exchanged anxious glances, aware that every next move could decide survival. The storm outside mirrored the chaos inside the office. James whispered with resolve, "We adapt, we strike, or we fall." Precision, focus, and courage became the only shields against collapse. James convened the team for a decisive strategy meeting. Every executive sensed the weight of imminent consequences. Sara meticulously traced remaining vulnerabilities, while Michael outlined tactical responses. Analysts whispered quietly, red alerts flickering on multiple screens. Every decision could either stabilize or collapse operations. The storm outside battered the high-rise, mirroring tension inside. James reviewed contingency plans with precision, calculating loyalty, risk, and timing. The office pulsed with urgency. He murmured, "Every move now defines survival." Sara pinpointed subtle signs of internal sabotage, her fingers moving rapidly across keyboards. Michael observed carefully, noting inconsistencies in communications. James evaluated the unfolding scenario silently, weighing every potential risk. Executives exchanged tense glances, aware that mistakes now could unravel months of work. Every alert, every report carried critical implications. The storm outside mirrored the tension inside. James whispered, "Precision and speed are our only shields." Analysts responded quickly, coordinating actions under mounting pressure. Michael highlighted additional discrepancies across secure systems. James reviewed every report carefully, noting subtle irregularities. Sara coordinated with analysts, verifying each anomaly. The team moved cautiously, aware that every step could be monitored or sabotaged. Storm clouds illuminated the city skyline intermittently. Executives whispered in hushed tones, weighing trust and suspicion. James' mind raced with multiple scenarios, each demanding precise action. A single miscalculation could trigger collapse. He said under his breath, "We control what we can, and strike decisively." James directed the implementation of a full security lockdown. Sara verified integrity of sensitive files across multiple consoles. Michael monitored communications channels for anomalies, eyes darting rapidly. Analysts executed commands under tense scrutiny. Every action could either secure the company or expose further vulnerabilities. The storm outside raged violently, thunder shaking the building. James weighed every contingency, understanding the immense pressure on each team member. He whispered firmly, "Contain the threat before it spreads." The office hummed with urgency, focus, and strategic intensity. Sara traced the final threads of sabotage to a surprising source, eyes widening at the revelation. Michael confirmed the full scope of the breach, posture rigid with tension. James leaned forward, analyzing implications silently. Every alert, every report carried critical consequences. Executives exchanged anxious glances, aware that decisive action was required immediately. The storm outside mirrored the chaos inside the office. James whispered, "We adapt, we strike, or we fall." Precision, focus, and courage became the team's only defenses against total collapse. James scanned the final system logs, tracing the sabotage to its hidden origin. Every analyst held their breath, monitors blinking with red alerts. Sara cross-referenced anomalies, eyes moving rapidly, fingers flying across keyboards. Michael observed communications channels for subtle irregularities, noting every inconsistency. Outside, the storm raged, wind howling against the skyscraper, rain slashing the glass like tiny knives. Each decision now carried immense weight. One misstep could undo months of strategy. James whispered to the room, "We act decisively. No hesitation." Sara traced the final threads of internal sabotage, realizing the breach came from an unexpected department. Michael confirmed her findings, standing rigid with tension. James considered the implications silently, running multiple scenarios in his mind. Every alert on the monitors carried heavy consequences. Loyalty had fractured in ways no one anticipated. Analysts whispered theories, eyes darting between screens. Outside, lightning illuminated the stormy skyline, echoing the turmoil inside. James leaned forward, voice low but firm. "We expose the truth and neutralize the threat immediately." James initiated an emergency lockdown protocol. Analysts scrambled across consoles, verifying sensitive files and communications. Sara coordinated verification checks, while Michael monitored external networks for possible intrusions. Every movement was calculated, every action weighed against potential sabotage. The storm outside pounded the building relentlessly, shaking glass panels and echoing the tension within. The room pulsed with urgency. Each heartbeat matched the alerts on monitors. James whispered, "We control what we can, and strike decisively, or we fall." The source of the sabotage was isolated, neutralized, and verified by Sara and Michael. Relief mingled with exhaustion as the office finally exhaled collectively. James reviewed the aftermath, considering lessons learned. Every decision had carried immense stakes. Trust had been tested and loyalty questioned. Analysts quietly noted their observations, red alerts now dimming. The storm outside eased, clouds breaking to reveal fleeting sunlight. James's gaze swept across the room, acknowledging the team's resilience. He whispered, "Crisis survived, but the cost of vigilance remains." James addressed the team in a calm, resolute tone, praising their persistence and courage. Months of chaos and betrayal had left scars, but the company remained intact. Sara confirmed data integrity and system security, while Michael ensured communication lines were fully restored. Executives exchanged quiet nods, the storm behind them now, replaced by sunlight breaking through clouds. The office, once tense and chaotic, now carried a tentative calm. James whispered, "We survived, we adapt, and we rebuild stronger than before." Optimism and resolve filled the room as they faced the next chapter.